Hey Rebel Rouser, I'm Alan Voivod and this is Star Wars 7x7, your daily dose of Star Wars joy. And thank you so much for joining me for it. And thank you so much to all the patrons who are helping support the creation and production of this podcast at patreon.com/SW7x7. So Tales of Light and Life is the collection of short stories for the High Republic Mega Ginormous Storytelling Initiative. They put it out in between the end of Phase 2 and the start of Phase 3 to kind of get hyped up for the return of all the characters we met in Phase 1 and to find out what is happening with them after the tragic fall of Staarlight Beacon at the end of Phase 1. This particular story we're going to talk about today within Tales of Light and Life, it's called The Force Provides, and it features Vernestra Rwoh, who's the character brought into the High Republic by Justina Ireland, and that character is actually going to be appearing in the Acolyte TV series as well. The story itself takes place in between the events of Phase 1 and Phase 3 in the sense that Phase 3 starts about a year after the events of Phase 1, and Vernestra was not, we find out, on Staarlight Beacon when the beacon fell, but she was actually on Irem, the planet where Staarlight Beacon had been positioned before the attack by the Nihil and its fall into the oceans of Irem. Although Vernestra, is having nightmares about the events of Staarlight Beacon, which are basically like false memories happening while she's asleep, which I thought was an interesting way of putting it. But she basically thinks that the Jedi Order has lost, or is lost, I should say, and that the Republic should be the ones taking care of the Nihil. And so she ultimately just decides to become a Wayseeker, which is, a Jedi thing for just, following what you can best interpret as the will of the Force and just go wherever you want to go necessarily, not to be part of an order. And she does this actually without checking in with the Jedi Order. She doesn't say, all right, I'm out of here. She just goes, and apparently nobody's following up with her. Maybe because things are just so crazy after the events of the fall of Staarlight Beacon. It is kind of surprising, actually, that nobody is like, hey, where's Vernestra? But, from Vernestra's perspective, she's not getting anybody getting in touch with her. So, probably other people are like, where's Vernestra? So months after the fall of Staarlight, she finds herself on a transport to a planet called Mikos, which is on the edge of wild space, and she ends up getting caught up in a little bit of drama, so to speak. So there's an older Togruta woman on the transport, and suddenly people are trying to kill this older Togruta woman, so she steps in and protects her, and then ultimately finds out that there's stuff going on Mikos with a shipping guild that is gouging all of the farmers that have, all these seafood products on the planet, and they're basically getting to the point where most of the people on the planet are going to become indentured servants in just a few seasons, basically. So this particular old Togruta woman is working to create a situation where she can, turn the tide or turn the tables, if you will, and ultimately break that shipping guild and allow the farmers on the planet to be able to, sell their own stuff for like 3 times the price. And Vernestra, who is getting sort of a little forced nudge to pay attention to this old Togruta woman, goes along for the ride. Turns out that she has a backstory of having been a pirate in a good way, being a Robin Hood type of pirate, stealing from the rich and giving to the poor. And she is trying to assemble a crew for one last job, which is to break the communications array that's on this particular planet that is scanning all of the transmissions being sent out and getting rid of anything that the shipping guild doesn't want to be sent out. And so she's going to reprogram it and make it so that anybody who tries to hack it again, that some warning is going to go out to let people know that it's been hacked. And I suppose I didn't say at the outset, but this is a full spoiler episode on this thing. So yeah, there you go. Now is your late warning. And it turns out, actually, this old Togruta woman was also a princess with a claim to the throne on a particular planet, but that she had renounced it to basically go live this life of being a pirate, that there was actually a commoner that she fell in love with, and the two of them got married, and ultimately she ceded the throne to a cousin who is still ruling there, but they got to live their lives. And yeah, what a wonderful thing. So as you might imagine, there's action, there's double crosses, there's surprises and whatnot, but things go the way that the the old Togruta woman wants them to. She's able to get the word out. Everything works out that way. And Vernestra, who offers to help and offers to, just do it and won't accept payment for it, actually gets something a little bit in the way of payment from the old Togruta woman. There's another planet on the edge of wild space called Ibbe, I-B-B-E, and apparently not a lot of people know about this planet, but the old Togruta woman is one who does, gives her a little token for a transport that goes there and says, tell the guy that you owe me and you got this from me, and it's a place of basically healing. And so Vernestra has been feeling like she is just exhausted. She has been so done with the violence and the warfare against the Nile that she just needs to get herself back to herself, basically. And so she has followed the Force's nudges, and it's brought her to the possibility of getting to some very far away place where she will be able to finally heal from everything that she's gone through with all of her encounters with the Nile. Not to mention the Drenger and all the other stuff that she's been through. So yeah, that's basically what you need to know about The Force Provides, which is a short story by Justina Ireland in that Tales of Light and Life collection of short stories from the High Republic Mega Ginormous Storytelling Initiative. And that's going to do it for this episode of the podcast. If you enjoy the show, there are 3 very easy things you can do to help more people find this daily dose of Star Wars joy. One of them is leaving a rating or review on your app of choice if you haven't done that already. Another is using the subscribe or the like or the follow or the join button, whatever your app likes to call it. And the third is just telling other Star Wars fans that that this daily dose of Star Wars joy exists for them. And you can also help the creation and production of this daily dose of Star Wars joy by going to patreon.com/SW7X7. That's the number 7, the letter X, and the number 7. And it just remains for me to say thank you so much for joining me for this episode of the podcast, as always, and may the Force be with you, wherever in the world you may be.
7x7 is not endorsed or sponsored yet by Lucasfilm Limited, Disney, or 20th Century Fox, and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Star Wars, the Star Wars logo, all names and pictures of Star Wars characters, vehicles, and any other Star Wars-related items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Lucasfilm Limited, or their respective trademark and copyright holders. May the Force be with them. All original content is copyright by Star Wars 7x7. We hope you love it.